Today we'll look at Cloud X Soldier and Naya Precon with equipment. Cloud X Soldier is a legendary human soldier mercenary with haste, and when it enters the battlefield, it attaches up to one target equipment to itself. When it attacks, draw a card for each equipped attacking creature, which means at least one for itself if it's declared as an attacker. Then, if its power is 7 or greater, create 2 treasure tokens. And you know, this is a really cool creature. I like its design. It's powerful for 5 mana to immediately do something, like instantly make the first attach of something like a Colossus Hammer cheaper. So we're saving 8 mana by attaching it, and you get to draw a card right away. If you manage to increase its power to 7 or greater, you immediately create 2 treasure tokens, which can serve as a response to a board wipe or targeted removal. For example, we could say Heroic Intervention. By the way, there's no Heroic Intervention in this deck, and also, this deck is missing some things that really should have some synergy. Here I would have liked to see some equipment that creates tokens on its own and attaches itself to them. We have an example. Equipment from Phyrexia with the Firmirodan. Trigger. It creates a token when the equipment enters the battlefield and attaches that equipment to that token. We would like to see all of this, and in fact, we're satisfied with almost all equipment up to and including those that cost 4. We can take something that costs 5 or more, but that's more of a personal preference. Someone might want to hit everything. There's also Living Weapon. That's another example where we create a 0/0 black Phyrexian Germ token and attach the equipment to it. So now we have a creature that's equipped, which is the Living Weapon. Why isn't this included? I think they could have incorporated it somehow. And here we could also mention creatures with reconfigure, but that's a whole different story. By the way, I actually have a reconfigure deck, so subscribe to the channel. I'll talk about it soon. It's a Voltron in Jeskai color, where we assemble the robot Liberty Prime from Fallout. But that's a whole different story. So, Cloud wants to work in this deck somehow, but not everything here goes well with him. There are some cool cards here that you'd want to buy as singles. In my opinion, these cards are worth your attention. Professor Haja is really interesting. If you tweak the deck a bit, he can net you up to 4 cards per turn. For just 2 mana, you get a 2/2 creature that also makes abilities, activated abilities, cheaper. Equip, attach, and reconfigure. All of those are activated abilities. Jugendhagen Wise Elder is a fantastic creature that, in a deck with Cloud, will even give you cards during your upkeep. What should we pay attention to here? And which cards here can actually be really good? Tifa and Vincent are very valuable cards in our deck. Because Vincent comes out pretty early, he has Menace. He starts growing quickly, and by the time Cloud comes out, Vincent can start hitting opponents really hard. If all of this is combined with Tifa, the alternative commander, then Tifa can give us several combat phases, and that's the zone where we should be finishing the game. Tifa on the board, Vincent on the board, Cloud on the board. If we have some equipment, we need to try to close out the game, taking out 1 or more opponents. There are about 13 cards in the deck that can draw us a card in one way or another. 6 cards can provide evasion. By evasion, I mean non-basic land walk, trample mainly, and sometimes flying. Why these cards here is unclear. Among them are Skull Clamp, Avalanche from Sector 7, Soldier Military Program, and Yuffie, Aerith. Why is she here too? That's recursion, and it even costs 4. Most likely, it won't be equipped when Cloud comes out, and it'll just heal you a little. This is a very strange sub-theme, Barrett Wallace. It seems pretty good. He has an attack trigger, dealing damage equal to the number of equipped creatures you control that are blocking players. But we're going to have, like, very few equipped creatures. We're just not going to have many of them. Oh, and he has Reach himself. so he's more of a defensive creature than an offensive one. A very strange addition from Wizards of the Coast is Bronze Guardian. It has Ward 2, and other artifact creatures you control also have Ward 2. Apparently, the designers decided we really need to protect our equipment, and it says its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. It would be great to have a guy like that if our Cloud was an artifact, or if something made him an artifact, but he never becomes an artifact. Also, what is Hellkite Tyrant doing here? Yeah, it's like, oops, I won the game because we made a lot of treasures, took a lot of turns, and survived one more turn. It's not the most interesting, not the coolest, more like a creature that provokes aggression from opponents, which was added to. A cool Sephiroth who just wants his own deck, sacrificing modified creatures. Yeah, now we have a sack outlet for Skull Clamp. Congratulations. It costs 3 mana and sits in the graveyard. Then it will draw you cards. So we need to come up with some challenges for ourselves, overcome that challenge, and only then somehow make our cards start working. But why can't we just make everything work right away? We have a pretty decent protection package, which overall made me happy and satisfied. We could add a bit more to our protection. We have indestructibility, we have a silent effect, we have Shroud, we have indestructibility from Bastion Protector, Hexproof, indestructibility from Dark Steel Plate, and also indestructibility from Ultimate Magic Holy, plus Clever Concealment, which won't work very well with Lightning Greaves, because Clever Concealment specifically says to target non-land permanents you control to phase them out. So, if your commander has Lightning Greaves on, you won't be able to phase it out. That's a bit of a non-bow. We have 11 cards that give a little pump to our Cloud and, in general, to our creatures. One of the more interesting and unusual ones is Kate Sith, the Fortune Teller. It has a Lucky Slots trigger. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you scry one, then reveal the top card of your library. You can play the card this turn, and then you exile the card. This way, target creature gets plus X plus 0 until end of turn, where X is that card's mana value. So Kate Sith kinda synergizes with the commander. The others, well, are questionable. 15 cards that ramp us in one way or another. 5 recursion cards. Overall, in my opinion, you could do without recursion here, to be honest. So if there's any theme I would cut, I'd cut recursion and put something else in its place. There are removals, both targeted in mass. And, in my opinion, there are 2 cards that are present but actually have synergy. Why are there only 2 of them? That's a good question. I put together a small sideboard for this precon. In my opinion, these cards are worth considering if you want to upgrade your deck. I like the idea of granting indestructibility, but also giving additional stats. And here, Berserk can help us out. It can serve as a finisher, allowing us to take out an opponent with commander damage. Berserk is a very powerful spell. Overall, instead of Skull Clamp, you could put Berserk in here, and it would look really cool. Next, we have Bloodforged Battle Axe. What's good about Bloodforged Battle Axe? First of all, it's a 1-mana equipment that creates copies of itself. So, if we have some creatures, we can end up with a bunch of equipment to put on them. In other words, it will work well with our commander later on, plus, the +2 stats are pretty decent, so you can equip it to your commander as well, and let's not forget thanks to. Other effects just make the equip cost cheaper, so we'll easily be able to attach copies of our Bloodforged Battle Axes to our creatures. Masterwork of Ingenuity. We need cheap equipment so that we can both play them for little and equip them to our creatures for little as well. And here we have a clone for equipment. Why isn't it here? Sigarda's Aid. We really want to be able to cast our auras and equipment at instant speed and attach them to our creatures as soon as we play them. So this can be used as a combat trick, as preparation for a future turn, or just as a regular spell cast. At the same time, if we have Sigarda's aid, we can easily keep our mana open for protection. We can just hold onto that mana, give indestructibility at the right moment, give hexproof at the right moment. Sigarda's aid looks really good here. Battlefield Improvisation is a fantastic card. It works on your creature, and it works on an opponent's creature too. Attach any number of equipments, finish someone off. If one creature gets blocked, just move everything onto another and finish the job. It's a way to get around blocks, a way to save a key creature, a way to kill someone with your commander, and even a way to equip enemy creatures, like an opponent's attacking creature, as long as it's not attacking you. Any amount of equipment under your control, and let another opponent get taken out by someone else's hands. It's a great battlefield improvisation. Honestly, they could have reprinted it here. Heroic Intervention is just missing. Inventory Management does almost the same thing as Battlefield Improvisation, but it splits second speed and only for your creature. For 2 mana, you can attach any amount of equipment you control to it, which lets you bypass blockers. Ketis also looks pretty good for us. If we follow Vincent's path, then Ketis will also look good here. Here's something interesting. There's a spell here called Ultimate Magic Meteor. You could lean a bit towards board wipes, but board wipes that protect your own creatures. How do I see it? I'm basing this on Ultimate Magic Meteor, which deals 7 damage to each creature. If it was cast from exile, then you choose an artifact or land, destroy it, blah blah blah. The main thing is that it deals 7 damage to every creature. I really want to protect my own creatures. We have options like Mark of Asylum. Basically, any damage that would be dealt to creatures you control. So it turns into a one-sided board wipe. We have a Blessed Sanctuary that will also prevent non-combat damage that should be dealt to you and the creatures under your control. We could have the Wanderer, prevent non-combat damage that should be dealt to you and others permanently under your control. Along with this, we can start playing Blasphemous Act, Chandra Ignition and Chain Reaction. In this combination, Ultimate Magic Meteor and board wipes based on damage wipes become one-sided board wipes for us. I think this idea really has potential, and I really want to give it a try. Next, in general, we can consider Overprotect to make Cloud a 7/7 for just 2 mana. It gives protection, trample, indestructible, and hexproof all at once. So it's just a simple spell for a shine, obviously. Since we're expecting to have a lot of attacking creatures, we can use Hunter's Insight. If one of them isn't blocked, we'll draw a lot of cards at instant speed. A very nice spell. I think Sunforger is just perfect. Absolutely perfect for this deck. First of all, Cloud as stats increases. When Cloud comes in, he immediately equips Sunforger, and now he's a creature with 8 power. Secondly, when he attacks, since his power is over 7, he makes us 2 treasures. With those 2 treasures, we can activate this equipment, search our library for a red or white instant, and cast it without paying its mana cost. Just so you understand, basically, we're just sitting on interactions. We can assemble them. This is the perfect commander for Sunforger because he attaches it himself. He's perfect. Plus, he gives you 2 treasures right away. You really want to add Sunforger to this deck. You can have a little fun and, just for kicks, add something like alternate commanders, like Wolverine. And it's quite entertaining. This is Displaced Dinosaurs. Personally, I don't like Hellkite Tyrant. I like the idea that for 7 mana, we can play the Displaced Dinosaurs, and any artifacts that enter the battlefield will become 7/7 dinosaurs. Our treasures will turn into dinosaurs, our equipment will turn into dinosaurs, and some of them will be indestructible dinosaurs. And all of this will work fantastically with Tifa, of course, because she wants creatures with power 7 to deal combat damage. And at some point, of course, it would be a shame to lose all our equipment if there's a board wipe. But here we remember that we have Sunforger, and with Sunforger we can cast something like a Chroma's Will if we add it here. We can't cast Heroic Intervention, but we can effectively use all sorts of white protection spells. So pay attention to this section of the sideboard. There might be some interesting interactions here. In any case, I really like the idea of using spells like Megaton Fade, Chain Reaction, Chundra's Ignition, and Blasphemous Act. All of this combined with Mark of Asylum, the Wanderer, and Blessed Sanctuary, plus Sunforger. What would you decide to cut from this deck? That will be entirely up to you. I like this deck more than the Esper Precon. You can get a good hand here, and you can see some nice combinations. The only thing I'll probably say in conclusion, guys, besides the fact that if you've watched up to this point, give this video a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe. We have a young channel and we're just developing it. It would be great to see some new faces. Guys, if you're watching all sorts of playtests and wondering whether to get this deck or not, keep in mind that you should have a hand with first, second, and third drops, so that by the time Cloud hits the battlefield and goes on the attack, you have at least 1 or 2 creatures with equipment. Pay attention to your starting hand, because the starting hand is critical for Cloud. With that, I'll say goodbye for today. Thank you for your attention and for watching up to this point. Check out the other videos on the channel. This was Sergey.